moveSKILL.com here. This video we're going to talk about the muscle up transition. Specifically, we're going to talk about the muscle up transition with band assistance. Now, I want to start this out like I do with a few of our other movements, talking about some prerequisites. You have to have these movements before you start attempting the transitions, just to make sure you're getting the order of operations right. And there's a lot of people who want to jump right into this, but I want you to trust and understand our methods here. So I need to be sure that you have a few things. The first is going to be some really solid ring dips. These should be in the neighborhood of 7 to 8 without any problem at all, so unbroken. You're also going to need to be able to do some dip support work on the rings for probably in the neighborhood of 30 seconds to a minute, and that's a really solid, stable position. The other things we want to see are good either ring chin-ups or chin-ups on the bar, chest-to-bar style, strict, no kip at all. These prerequisites in strength are going to make sure that you're ready. The other thing I would recommend you look at is our assisted muscle-up transition using the floor before you start doing this. So what we're doing with the band is just as important actually as what we're not doing with the band. So let me talk about that first. We're not using the band to generate momentum. This is probably the biggest mistake we see, and I want you to be so on top of yourself about this. If you're using the band to jump or bounce your way through, then you're really missing the point. Remember, when we're talking about muscle-ups, I'm not talking about kipping muscle-ups. That comes a lot later. That comes after you have strict muscle-ups. What we're using the band for is to help give us some assistance and start to feel what a strong, controlled transition from the pull to the bottom of the dip position in the muscle-up feels like. And this needs to be done slow, not only on the way up, but also on the eccentric on the way down. So when you lower yourself down, I also want that to be under control. So here's how we're going to approach this. What I want you to do is loop the band through the ring on one side. You're going to toss it over the other ring, and then you're going to hold that part down with your hand. And what this is going to do is give you a nice little stable platform to sit in. Actually, probably the hardest part of this movement for some folks is getting into the band. So you're going to sit yourself into the band like a little bit of a sling. From here, you should have enough tension that when you take your feet off the ground, you sit kind of semi-elevated. Your elbows are probably going to be bent at about a 90-degree angle or less, and that's fine. Again, what I don't want you to do is bounce or power your way through. So you're going to go as slow as you possibly can. You're going to pull in false grip. So from a false grip position, you're going to pull knuckles into your chest, nice and slow, keeping your elbows tight. And as soon as your knuckles and the ring hits your chest, I want you to drive your head forward slowly, and chest should follow. When your head and chest come through, then you should be in the bottom of the dip position. Now, it's going to be really tempting to push out of this, and I recommend you don't. What I want you to do instead is hold that position and then slowly return. And what I want you to focus on at this point is keeping your knuckles against your rib cage so they flow forward, and then as soon as possible, you're going to break at the wrist so you can maintain false grip, so you can go right into the next one. If this doesn't happen, you're going to slip out and you'll just be hanging onto the rings. You'll have to get up and reset from the beginning. And that might happen once or twice, but really focusing on re-entering false grip as you lower yourself down is important. The reason we're doing this, not only to build strength and awareness in the shoulders for the muscle up, but it's also to actually build the strength for when you actually have a muscle up. A lot of people get their first muscle up and drop down, but that's only half the movement. We want to focus on that good eccentric, that good negative. All right, here's some faults we want to make sure that we're not doing. I talked about bouncing. That's a big one, but I'm going to repeat it. Do not bounce. Do not launch yourself through. The second thing I want you to make sure that you're not doing is letting your elbows swing out or stepping your arms over the ring. So as you come up, if your elbows start to wing out, I want you to pull them in tight. You should almost think about dragging your elbows against the side of your body or crushing your rib cage with your arms. Once you make that transition, same thing, squeeze yourself tight and pull down. Other thing I want to make sure, like I said before, is we're not dipping out at the top. So when you push out at the top, the band's going to get dislodged. You're going to have issues getting back in. So just don't worry about that at this point. Save that for the muscle-up negatives. One more thing I want to add. Chalk is your friend, especially on the rings. So I really am a big fan of wooden rings, but if that's not something that you have nearby, if you only have plastic or metal, that's okay too. But make sure you put a lot of chalk on. You're going to want to put that chalk right on the inside of your wrist where the ring's going to sit in false grip, and also inside the palm of the hand as well. Make sure you got enough chalk so that you're not slipping and sliding around. As with everything else that we do here, you have to take this slow. either videotape yourself or have a friend watch you, have a partner spot you. This is meant to be a skill movement with some strength background. So what we're trying to learn here in the long run is what it feels like once you've pulled to the top of that pull up or chin up on the rings is to transition yourself through. So start with probably a larger band, but again, it should still feel like you're doing some work. You don't want to just get pushed all the way through. And then slowly either take some slack out of the band or switch to thinner ones. The idea is to have as little assistance as possible. And at some point you might be able to actually sit on the ground without any band, arms at 90, or elbows at 90 degrees, and pull yourself completely through in the bottom, from the bottom to the top of the rings without any assistance at all. And that ultimately is our goal. So I hope this helps you guys. Have a good one.